Welcome back to America Trends. We are talking to Jacqueline Newman, an NYC divorce lawyer and matrimonial expert. We're talking about the 5 signs of financial abuse in a marriage and what people can do about them. Jacqueline, welcome back.
Thanks.
So let's go over those five signs before we start. Recap.
Okay, so it's keeping someone in the financial dark, not allowing somebody to know what's going on financially and what assets they have. It's when someone doles out an allowance. That's another thing you want to be looking out for. When somebody has to account for every penny spent and produce receipts and all of that type of thing. When you guilt a spouse for possibly wanting to work and earn an income. And then also, obviously, when someone's stealing money.
Jacqueline, talk about how one spouse can impact the other's credit score and why, even if we love this person, we should really watch out and be careful.
Right. So what will happen sometimes is that people have joint credit cards. And they will ultimately, not pay them or do whatever, and that can affect everybody's credit score. Not to mention, I've definitely heard cases where you've had people that have opened credit cards in their spouse's name and then obviously run up balances and not pay, and then ultimately that would affect their credit score. So it is something you want to watch out for. I know a lot of people that will run credit checks every now and again just to kind of make sure that they're, as clean as they think they are. So, it's always good to be wary.
Right, because if you split, that's when you need your credit score most to be good.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I tell people when they're considering divorce, if they don't have access to a lot of funds on their own, is that they should open a lot of credit cards. You want to have access to money. You want to be able to take advances. You just don't want to be stuck in a position where you have no money and you have to basically, do whatever the other person says because you just need some money to eat.
So not just take care of your credit, build it up.
Absolutely. It's a very, very wise thing to do because a lot of people don't. A lot of people will just be on their husband's credit card or just not have credit cards of their own. And so it's very, very important to have credit cards and to, obviously keep their balances paid and build your credit.
Jacqueline, I want to shift gears for a minute. There is talk because of some of the allegations made toward President Trump. What would happen if, while in office, he and Melania got a divorce? And some of the questions are, would he have to pay spousal support? What would that all look like? What do his prenups look like? Can you speak on that?
Well, I have not personally done his prenup, but I can take a pretty good guess on what it says. Yeah, I mean, it would be a very interesting thing, and, I can't say it would shock me greatly should that happen. But what you'd be basically looking at is that, there is a prenuptial agreement. I'm sure, it was well drafted and it will be adhered to. However, what I think would be very interesting to see is whether there will be certain things that she will ask for that weren't in the prenup, because while this prenup probably provides for certain assets, it provides for certain spousal support for her, it would not be addressing child support because spousal support, prenuptial agreements cannot address things related to the children. So that will be an open issue. But I do wonder whether she will make more arguments about the fact that when she signed this prenup, there was no anticipation of him being president. And she's been now thrown into the public eye in a way that she wasn't previously. Not to mention there's security issues. There's a lot of things that have changed. So I wonder, should this go to divorce, whether she will make an argument that whatever was in the prenuptial agreement should be enhanced based on the fact that we're just in a different circumstance right now.
And a contested divorce might force President Trump to reveal some financial things that he didn't disclose during the election.
Yeah, I've heard people saying that technically divorce cases are supposed to be sealed and they're supposed to be confidential. And I'm sure they will make major efforts to have that happen. That said, yeah, I mean, I think it's an open for him. And my guess is that if he's smart about it, he will want to settle this case without court and do this as quietly and amicably as possible.
And again, we wish them the best, President Trump and Melania. No talk of them divorcing, just some chatter on the anti-Trump people. So just wanted to bring that up. But they are no reports of any friction there that can be validated. So just want to mention that. How do you, I know that you have these books, one for a man and one for a woman, right?
That's correct.
And you try to counsel people on how to stay married, how to show that respect. What advice can you give people, and how do they know when they've really reached the limit? Is there a point where most people, we just know, it's done?
Well, one of the things that I ask people when they first walk into my office, men or women, are you sure you want to get divorced? I think it is one of the most important questions that a divorce attorney can ask, because if they hesitate, even for a millisecond, I really encourage them to go to therapy, go to marriage counseling, do what they can to make sure, because divorce is emotionally exhausting, it's financially exhausting, and you need to make sure this is what you want to do because you never want to look back with regrets. And so when clients say to me, I'm not totally sure, then I say, please, go be sure, because you don't want to do this if not. But that being said, when somebody is ready to do it, they know. They know that they're done, and they just cannot imagine staying in this marriage any longer, whether there's abuse, whether it's just they're just not compatible, whether it's just destructive for them and their children. Whatever it is, people usually know when they know.
Right. If it's abusive, it's pretty clear signal.
Yeah, I would agree with that, yes.
I'll bet they're glad to have you to sort of counsel them and guide them along the things, because you can sort of say what you just said, maybe guide them, counsel them, but you're also such an expert on sorting out all these things having to do with divorce.
Well, thank you. I like to think that, being that I come from a place of really believing that people need to get through this as unscathed as possible. I'm not looking for the scorched earth type of situation. A lot of times, especially if there are children involved, you need to be able to co-parent this person moving forward, assuming it's possible. So I'm a big advocate of really kind of just like, don't hit below the belt and stay as calm and, move forward with this as best you can without, really destroying yourself and your family.
So we talked about the financial pitfalls, and I know you and I chatted last week even about what to do if you think you might split, if you want to get custody of the dog, what to do if you want Fido and you want to fight the person for that. What other things do you suggest if people think this might be heading downhill? What do you counsel them to pay attention to and to take care of?
Well, one of the first things you want to do is, as we talked about a little bit with the financial abuse, is you want to make sure that you have access to funds. And whether that means opening credit cards, whether that means getting some money into your own name, I mean, it's important that you have money, especially if you are the non-moneyed spouse, because you don't want to be in a situation where the other person cuts you off. So I think that that's one of the first things you want to do. The other thing is that people really need to put together what their needs and their wants are. A lot of people walk into this and they're just so emotionally distraught, which obviously makes a ton of sense. But then their minds are all over the place. And so it's so important, because the way you start a divorce is a lot of the way you're going to end your divorce. So if you come in guns blazing, you might end that way. And I think that it's very important for people to just have their goals very clear as to what's important to them. I tell people to make a list. I tell people to make a list of all the concerns they have, all their questions. So hopefully in an initial consultation, I can answer them so they can sleep at night.
All right, Jacqueline Newman, we so appreciate your being here with us tonight with these very helpful tips for us.
Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. I want to take one more look at your website, nycdivorcelawyer.com. She's a New York City-based divorce lawyer and matrimonial expert. Lots of background, managing partner of a top-tier Fifth Avenue Manhattan law firm. And it focuses exclusively on divorce, from prenups to high net worth people contemplating marriage to conflict matrimonial litigation and dissolution. So we do appreciate your expertise, and we'll look on your website for your books too, Jacqueline. Thanks to her so much. And we're going to be right back on America Trends with Tom Del Beccaro talking about the political issues of the day and what to look for in a child care provider if you're in the market for that. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm John Florell.